expressly, beware of covetousness. Covetousness is having a strong desire for things that other people have. A strong desire for things that other people have. That's covetousness. And the Bible gives us a very strong instruction in the book of Hebrews chapter 13 and verse 5. It tells us there expressly. It says that you and I should ensure that our conversation or lifestyle is without covetousness. It said, but be content with whatever you have. You see, the problem with covetousness is that it breeds dissatisfaction. When a man is covetous, a woman is covetous, they become dissatisfied. It breeds dissatisfaction, and this is highly destructive in the adventure of life. In 1 Timothy chapter 6 verse 6 down to verse 10, look at what the Bible tells us here. 1 Timothy 6 6 to 10, it said, but godliness with contentment is great gain. It says, for we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain that we can carry nothing out. Verse 8, it said, and having food and raiment, let us be content. He said, but they that will be rich will fall into diverse temptations and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which draw men into destruction and perdition. And verse 10, it says, for the love of money is the root of all evil. For while some have coveted after this, he said, they have erred from the faith, and they have pierced themselves with many sorrows. The love of money, inordinate affection for possession, the love of money. We must come to recognize that, you see, covetousness is a destroyer, and the effect of it can be generational. That's what we saw in the example of Achan in scriptures. In Joshua chapter 7 verse 19 to 26, the whole of Achan's generation and lineage was destroyed on the basis of his covetousness. You see, the problem is that covetousness leads to many other things, many other sins. For example, we know that covetousness leads to financial impropriety and unfaithfulness. So many people get into all kinds of fraudulent activities, and it's largely on the basis of covetousness. All manner of fraudulent activities, and it's largely on the basis of covetousness. In Luke chapter 16, we have the example of the unfaithful servant, the one who was manipulating books. All of it, the product of covetousness. We also discover that it can lead to idolatry. Oh yes. So many people today are going to occultic places for money. In fact, one of the major things that you see that make people look for Babalawo is money. Money ritual, money ritual. A lot of the kidnappings and ritual killings in our nation is driven by the desire for money. Practical desire for money. People will go to places that they do not know. They will enter bushes and jungles to meet individuals in order to empower them for money. Idolatry. You find people abandoning their faith in the pursuit of money. That's why the Bible said the love of money is the root of all evil. It said many people have swerved away from the faith by it. They have gone off course by it. And I tell people all the time, does it make sense? You go into a bush to see a man inside a hut in a place without road, sleeping on the floor to help you to have a comfortable life. If what is given to you is good, why didn't he take it first? Why didn't he take it first? He wants to help you have the money that he will not give himself. Covetousness, destructive. We also discover that it leads also to wickedness, all manner of wicked things, wicked occurrences, products of covetousness. Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 9 to 12, the Bible gives us a very strong picture there. Products of covetousness. It said, woe to him that coveted an evil covetousness to his house. He said that he may set his nest on high and that he may be delivered from the power of evil. That's what he's thinking. He said, thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against thy own soul. He said, for the stone shall cry out of the wall, and the beam of the timber will answer it. He says in verse 12, woe to him that builded a town with blood and establishes a city by iniquity. You can't. So many people by covetousness have gone into all kinds of wickedness. All kinds of wickedness. There are people sacrificing their family members in the name of looking for money. They say, no problem, we can do it for you. Bring your mother. And they even have the effrontery to ask any other member of the family. Why? Covetousness. But today, the hold of it is broken. I said the hold of it is broken. Number three requirement, if we are going to be on God's side, is you must continue to walk by faith. 2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 7, the Bible makes it very clear to us there. It said, for we walk by faith and not by sight. Take note of this. Without faith, it is practically impossible to please God. Practically impossible. Hebrews chapter 11 and verse 6, for without faith, it is impossible to please him. No man can please God outside faith. We must remember that nothing displeases God like doubting him. Hebrews chapter 3 and verse 12. The Bible tells us there, it says, Hebrews 3:12, Hebrews 3 and verse 12, please. It says, take heed, brethren, lest there be in any one of you an evil heart of unbelief in departing from the Lord. So there is unbelief, it disconnects a man from God. So nothing displeases God like individuals doubting him. And we also discover that God is always attracted to those who believe him. You see, our faith keeps us active in our walk with God. This is why the Bible tells us very clearly that the righteousness of faith is the operation of an individual's life that is at a frequency where it's not questioning God. Romans chapter 10 and verse 6, the Bible says the righteousness of faith is on this wise. Say not in thy heart, who is it that will go to heaven to bring Christ from above? That is, it's not a questioning faith, it's a believing faith. Righteousness of faith is after this wise. So it's important for us to understand that if you and I are going to be effective in our walk with God, our faith is a non-negotiable factor. Romans 14 and verse 23, he said, whatsoever is not of faith is sin. So we must be active in faith. That means that everything we do must be done in faith. Many of us here, we are cell ministers. We have the responsibility to go this year according to the prophetic instruction and see our cells replicate. It is possible for individuals to go out but not believe that the cell will replicate. They say, well, they have said we should go, so let's go, minister. This cell has replicate from all these years. I don't think this cell can ever replicate. You are obeying but not in faith. It cannot please God. We are going out to see souls won and brought into the kingdom and the church. It must be done in faith, for whatsoever is not of faith is sin. So to please God, to be on the right side of God, you and I must of necessity operate by the force of faith. I pray today that by the encounter you and I are having, our faith will come alive. I said our faith will come alive. Our faith will